and something I just love about this place is how chill it feels. Hi everybody, and welcome here from Leiden, one of my favorite cities in the Netherlands. It might look like I am somewhere very idyllic in the countryside, but I am actually in the heart of Leiden. And that is what I think makes Leiden so special, is that it's actually quite a large city, but it has this amazing, relaxed feeling that you won't really find in Amsterdam. So today I want to take you guys along into Leiden and show you why I love the city so much. So welcome to Leiden. One reason that makes Leiden so amazing is that it's actually located right between Amsterdam and The Hague. Just 25 minutes away from Amsterdam Zuid and only 15 from Schiphol Airport. And I think because Amsterdam, The Hague and even Haarlem get a lot of spotlight nowadays, I think Leiden is just kind of skipped. And I don't get why, because from all these places it might be my favorite one. And look, I live in Amsterdam and I visited most cities in the Netherlands, and I can say that Leiden is just very unique. And it's a place I keep coming back to and enjoy more every time I visit. And why I think that is because Leiden is like the perfect mix of everything. It's a small city with only 130,000 people, but yet it's also somehow extremely chill and laid back. And in general, the entire vibe of the city just feels very laid back and unrushed. Very different to places like The Hague or Amsterdam, which at times can feel very chaotic. One of the first things you'll see as you walk into the city center from the train station is this windmill called De Valk. The mill was built all the way back in 1743 and is one of the last standing windmills in the city. And although the windmill can still work, it's really used as a museum nowadays. And although windmills are quintessentially Dutch, they are actually very rare in cities nowadays, even though they used to be full of them. So I'm always quite happy when I get to see one, and I walked a little further and then I found another one. This windmill being called De Put, and it's actually a 20th century replica of the original windmill that was built all the way back in the 1600s. And the windmill is located very close to another 17th century landmark. This is the Morspoort city gate. Built in 1669, it's one of the only 2 city gates that remained of the original 8 city gates the city had. And of course, being an important landmark, it proudly features a symbol of 2 keys crossing one another, something you'll find throughout the entire city, as Leiden is known as Key City. And you'll even find an old cannon, which was of course used for protecting the city. And from here on, I made my way into the heart of the city. Walking along the many canals Leiden has. There are 88 of them in fact, but I ended up on Rapenburg, which is perhaps the most glorious canal of all of them. Many people also calling it the most beautiful and prestigious canal of the city. It is aligned with gorgeous ornamental Dutch Baroque buildings, and when Leiden was actually the second largest city of the Netherlands during the Dutch Golden Age, this is where many of the rich merchants would live. And more recently, even our former Queen Beatrix and our current King Willem Alexander lived here when they studied at the University of Leiden. Founded all the way back in 1575, it is the oldest and most prestigious university of the country, and the main building is located on the same canal. And right next to it you will find the Hortus Botanicus, which is the oldest botanical garden of the country. It was founded in 1590 because the University of Leiden's medicine studies needed a garden. And to achieve that, they were looking for the best botanist in Europe. And then they found Carolus Clusius, a Frenchman who they had come to Leiden to start this botanical garden. And without Clusius, the Netherlands would have probably never had tulips, as the first tulips that were brought to Europe from Turkey were actually here in the Hortus Leiden. And up to this day, the Hortus in Leiden is very significant. It has more than 8,000 species of plants and is still closely connected to the university. And students are even able to enter the garden for free, and it's really fun because you'll see a lot of students sitting here to study. And to be honest, I totally get them because it is one of the nicest places in the city. And I really think that this botanical garden alone should be reason enough to visit Leiden. Not far away from the Hortus, on the same canal, you will find het Rijksmuseum van Oudheden, or the National Museum of Antiquities. It's one of the most important museums of the Netherlands and is home to the largest Egyptology collection of the country. With over 1,400 ancient Egyptian pieces, it has to be one of the largest collections in Europe. And I don't think a lot of people would assume that a huge collection like this would be in a city like Leiden. I think most people would expect something like this in a city like The Hague or Amsterdam. But The Rijksmuseum van Oudheden is only one of the many museums that Leiden has to offer. And the most prominent piece of the museum has to be the Temple of Tafé. And a couple of times a day they even project a light show onto it, which tells the story of the temple and how it came to the Netherlands. From the museum I then made my way into the heart of the city, along the way passing many narrow cobblestone streets, passing some gorgeous architecture along the way. But at a certain point I found myself standing in front of a very impressive building. This is the Old City Hall. A gorgeous Renaissance building built all the way back at the start of the 17th century. But like many beautiful buildings you'll find around Europe, it was actually burned to the ground in 1929. And although they kept the original Renaissance architecture on the front, on the back you'll find a very different building style. Here you'll also find the Koornbrug or grain bridge. And like the name suggests, this is where they used to buy and sell grain. But only in 1824 the iconic neoclassical canopies were placed here. This area is really the beating heart of Leiden, and around it you will find many bars and restaurants with outdoor seating, something typical Dutch. This is where I met up with two good friends to go terrassen, a Dutch verb that refers to sitting outside and having a drink. And on the terrace you most likely will have a borrel. Borrelen is the enjoyment of having a drink alongside a typical Dutch bar snack. Or what do we have?
We hebben oude worst, oude kaas.
A very unique place you could go for a borrel is the Waag, or the weighing house. This Baroque building, built in 1657, is now a restaurant but was once one of the most important buildings of the city. And you can still see on this pictogram on the front how goods used to be weighed here, to decide how much taxes had to be paid over them. And to burn some of the calories from my borrel, I walked up to the Burcht of Leiden, or the Keep of Leiden in English. Perhaps the most iconic landmark looking out over the entire city. So I'm at the Keep of Leiden, which is one of my favorite places in the city. This actually is built on a fake hill. It's a man-made hill. And it's a medieval structure that was built to protect the city, a fortification. But now it's a public park. Something I just love about this place is how chill it feels. I'm here at like the tourist hotspot and I'm the only person here. So that is very, very nice. The keep really looks as if it came straight from a fairy tale storybook. Exactly how you would picture a medieval piece of architecture to look like. And since it's a public park, it's free to visit for everyone. And as I said, you get the best views of Leiden from here, especially of one of Leiden's biggest landmarks, the Hooglandse Kerk, a Gothic church that was built all the way back in 1377. But Leiden has another very prominent church which actually hosts a very fascinating story. So, right now I am sitting in front of the Pieterskerk, and it is one of the main churches here in Leiden. But there's something very special about this place which I think a lot of people don't know. This church is now home to a museum for the Pilgrim Fathers, and that is with a very good reason, because the Pilgrim Fathers actually came to Leiden first before coming to America, and many of them used to live across this church. And after spending about 10 years in Leiden, a part of the original group set sail for America, making a quick stop in Southampton where they then boarded the well-known Mayflower. So who knows, maybe without them coming to Leiden first, the history of the USA would have looked very different. And something I really love about Dutch cities like Leiden is that if you pay attention, you often find hidden little courtyards or hofjes. And Leiden is full of these little hidden places that you would have simply missed if you would have looked the other direction. And the best way to explore any city in Europe really is just to wander around and pay attention to everything around you. Don't just look at the ground, but look up. Don't look straight forward, but also look to the side. And you often discover places that you would have never expected. And that is one of the many reasons that I love Leiden. It's a city that will surprise you. In the importance of its history, the amount of things you can see and do here, while still being relatively quiet, especially compared to many other Dutch cities. But Leiden is by far not the only great city in the Netherlands. So if you want to see more places that I love as a local here in the Netherlands, keep on watching and please like and subscribe to help my channel grow. Let me know if you have ever visited Leiden and what your favorite places are in the city, and perhaps also which other Dutch cities you would like me to show on the channel. Leiden, you were amazing. See you in the next Dutch city. And for now, doei doei!